Welcome to Crimson Tide Connection, your home for Crimson Tide sports. And I'm joined today by the head coach of the Alabama rowing team, Larry Davis. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Coach, you just wrapped up winter training. What was the emphasis of that, and what did you see from this team?
Well, we wanted to do a couple of things, and especially with the youth of the team. As coaches, we had some concern with the idea of what are the student athletes going to do during the time we get done in the fall, where we're allowed 20 hours a week, to when we come back in the spring being in January. The concern is, are they going to do what they need to do on their own? We give them, things that they should focus on and stuff like that, but it's up to them. We don't monitor that. So one of the things we wanted to find out is, where are we?
Right.
Did we do the things we needed to? We had a good fall, and we developed some of the things that we wanted in the way of, skills and things that we wanted to emphasize in the fall. But are we going to come back and be able to build on what we did, or are we going to be sort of starting over?
Right.
And the good news was, I think the girls did a lot better job this year than they have in the past. But with some of the flu bugs and things around, we found a lot of them have been sick over the winter time, especially during Christmas and whatnot. So that sort of took a little edge off what they've been able to accomplish. But they seem to have been fairly disciplined, and we had a very productive winter training session.
Well, Coach, now you return to 20 hours a week of practice. What is this period going to be used for?
Well, we're going to continue on what we did in the fall. The fall is sort of a combination of building skills, sorting out, and an evaluation process from a coaching staff standpoint to see who works well together, who seems to be able to make a boat move fairly well and get the kind of speed that we need. And then in the spring, we're going to see, are we continuing on in that process? And invariably, what we wind up with as far as, say, like a first boat in the fall, there's always some changes come springtime. Some people, sort of catch fire and they seem to all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and they learn some things that we've been hoping they would learn. And some other people seem to be, maybe stepping back or having some struggles and whatnot. And then part of that's being healthy too. But we'll continue on what we did, but there'll be a little more emphasis now on doing the kind of powerful speed work as we go into the spring, where in the fall it's pretty much aerobic-based work and skill development. Now we have to start developing that raw speed that we need for a sprint, which is what we do in the spring. In the fall, it's the longer races, 5,000 meters. In the spring, it's 2,000 meters. So we've got to be able to take those skills and execute them at a higher cadence and higher boat speed.
Well, Coach, in the fall, you had a great deal of young people on your team. How is the chemistry going, and is that something that you can maybe work on right now during this winter training? Well,
yeah, I mean, that's something that we do some team building things, and when we had the actual week of winter training before classes started and what we're doing now, the chemistry we saw this fall was good, and that there seems to be some consistency and continuity on that, so we're happy about that as coaches, and I think the student athletes understand that too. So yeah, we want to keep working on that, because ultimately the kind of work we have to do in the spring is more demanding physically, and when you get pushed really hard, sometimes those things start unraveling as the tension level builds, and the selection process sort of gets closer to, sort of what I'll call a final product in the spring that we're going to go out and look for as part of our championship season. So the key is trying to keep that chemistry and that positive attitude when things get a little tougher and a little stiffer, a little sore, and we're pushing them a little bit harder. So we're looking for that as coaches and trying to emphasize that, we don't lose that just because we're maybe pushing a little bit harder than what we did earlier.
Well, Coach, good luck as you prepare for the season. I know this is kind of when the time's going to be put in now. That's going to kind of determine how the season's going to go, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's something that if you look at especially the month of February, if we have good weather, one of the advantages we have in Alabama is that we're able to go on the water. And there's a lot of teams up north, they'll come down for, maybe spring break or something like that and get a week's worth of training or so in Florida. And some of them will take a break in January where we stayed here. They'll go to someplace south also to get some more strokes in. But the good news is where we are, we can do it all the time. And that's one advantage. We don't have to rely on rowing tanks, and we certainly rely on rowing machines like everybody does. But if we get that good base of decent water during February, then that means we'll be that much further ahead with making some of the decisions we have to make as coaches and finding out who's really making a boat move and rowing some of the cadences and speeds we need, so that we'll have maybe a little head start on some of the teams we're going to see early in the spring. It all sort of equalizes once you get into April, but ultimately we want to be even that much further ahead when we get to April, because we've been able to get some of the other stuff done earlier and be prepared a little bit better sooner in the race season.
Well, Coach, good luck as you continue to prepare for the season. We're looking for some big things out of the season.
We're excited for it, and the girls I know are hungry.
Yes. Thank you, Coach. For head coach Larry Davis, I'm Christopher England, and that's it for this edition of the Crimson Tide Connection.